I think I was around 10 or 11. And I remember going to my mom and I said, Mom, I think I like girls.
I've always had a type of attraction to women. I didn't know anything about it being sexual or what it was, but I just liked being with them. So I never equated it to anything sexual because I didn't know what sexual was at that time.
She said, oh, that's natural, you'll grow out of it. Well, I haven't grown out of it.
I consider myself a bisexual and transgender man. I think I first recognized that something was different around the age of 11, 12. That's when I finally had the words to say, like, I genuinely think I am a boy.
My owning my identity started as a teenager, or maybe when I was dancing like James Brown on television and walking like Yul Brynner. And I think that was sort of a sign that I was more boyish.
Many of my friends and associates, they did come out. They were fully out. And they said, here I am, and live with it. And many of them, had lost relationships with their family.
So my family, we don't talk about it.
I told everyone except my parents, to be honest. They aren't very understanding of transgender people in general, or what it means to be queer.
My family did not respond well at all. In later years, my dad, I told him I was a transgender, and this is after I was grown. And he said, just don't do anything unnatural. My mom is the one that always stuck to, you need to come to God. You need to come to God. You need to remember fire and brimstone in the Bible. And now she is in the hospital with Alzheimer's. And then her response after all these years was to whisper in my ear, I'm sorry.
I have never actually told them I am trans, I'm a boy. I go by Noah. They still do not know my name to this day. And they don't know that I've started transitioning. I don't think, I know for a fact that they won't take it very well, but now that they've seen that I'm kind of older and I'm like navigating the world by myself, I know that they'll kind of understand, like, this is my thing to do.
I have blood family now that still don't treat me right at all. But I would love to have a real family that doesn't have to be my blood, but there's something warmer than blood. There is trust, there is consideration, there is support through ups and downs. I'm supporting them as well as they're supporting me.
I feel like I do have a found family that I found very young, so I did feel more comfortable talking to them about my identity. So that might be the reason why I didn't care so much that I didn't connect with my blood family.
I'm still connected to my biological family, but I'm also still finding, friends and family, and like in groups at my college that, I've become a part of. And so I'm still building that found family. It's pretty important to me to find that for myself, but still working on it.
And I'm thinking, I still like girls, Mom, And I remember one conversation she had, she told me, you know what? You need to settle down and find a good woman. I was like, I looked at the phone like, this is not my mother. What did you do with my mother? You're an alien. But she said, well, Oprah said it's okay. I'm like, what? But the thing that got me was that she was okay with me being me.
When I developed that level of pride in myself, confidence in myself, and I came out fully to everybody, I was really pleasantly surprised about how well I was accepted, particularly in my family. And they're proud of me to this very day. And they adored my husband. They treated him like family from the beginning.
Family is love.
I didn't come out until I was 33 because of a really religious family on both sides. One side Catholic, the other side Southern Baptist. Not necessarily a good combination. I respect both of those religions, but difficult to grow up in a community that doesn't always accept LGBT folks.
I grew up Catholic until I was 13, was baptized as a Catholic. Then my parents became Jehovah's Witness, and I followed suit, was baptized again as a Jehovah's Witness. Then wound up going to a Christian church, non-denomination. I was baptized again. So I like to say I've been baptized 3 times, didn't take the gay away.
I grew up in the city of Los Angeles, grew up in the streets, got saved, became a Christian at the age of 19. And the church became my family, so the church was everything. That became my life, that became my world.
I went to a church, and it was very frowned upon, being gay or it's like, so many people can contest to this, but it's not really friendly and not really, you can express what you want.
Once I realized that my sexuality wasn't something that the church or that the Kingdom Hall or that my religion didn't like, I really tried to fight it.
In the church, it was ostracized, right? You were unclean. You were of the devil. You were cursed. And I remember, oh my God, I remember praying constantly that God would take this curse off of me.
I would condemn myself, I would cry, I would try to pray it away. I went through all of those phases in life, in my early, late teens, early 20s, trying to figure out what something was wrong with me.
When I was a young boy, I was an individual who would go into a closet to pray away the gay. It was something that tormented me from a mental health standpoint.
They tried to cast the homosexual devil out of me. They held me down and they were saying, in the name of Jesus, come out, demon, come out. And I was crying, and my mom would come in and beat me till I bled because she was embarrassed.
So the breaking point for me is when I went to graduate school, and the job I had at the time, I traveled quite a bit, and it just exposed me to different.
So I stopped trying to fight it when I realized, one, that I wasn't the only one. There's a lot more people in the world facing that dilemma. But as I went deeper into my academic life, it actually really confirmed who I was sexually, or confirmed who I identified as wasn't a problem.
And if I'm honest and transparent with you, it wasn't until my oldest son came out gay as a teenager that I got the courage to protect him that I came out. Even though I left the church and was ostracized from the church, I never left God.
I came to terms and realized that people apply religion however they want to. But then I also came to realize that I have the right to do that for me. And I tell this to my students all the time. I say religion is a tool. And however you choose to use that tool, if it works for you one way, it might not work for someone else. And if it works for someone else one way, it might not work for you.
My sexuality and my spirituality is my humanity, right? And it cannot be separated. I cannot be separated from it.
Church is a building, but it's a building that people value, clearly. But also on a deeper level, I believe the church is also you. So no matter where I'm at, I can be in church. If I want to be in school, if I want to be in the club, I can find church somewhere, because it's within me.
God is not who the church say he is. It's who I define him to be in my life. And see, when you know whose you are and who you are, can't nobody tell you different. If you're not accepted by the church, if you're not accepted by your mom, nobody can tell you different because you know whose you are and who you are. And I feel like that was a place I had to learn and grow and come to.
You have to know God for yourself. You have to experience him for yourself, right? Who you call him, how you call him, I'm not gonna dictate that.
I've come out like 3 times. The first time I came out was as a gay male. And then the second time I came out was as a drag queen, as a performer. And then the third time I came out was as a non-binary trans femme.
I identify as trans male / non-binary. Pronouns, really interesting. I don't really have real pronouns, but he, him is fine. Shim God, Your Highness. Those are the ones I go by.
Around 15 was when I socially transitioned, used he, him pronouns since then. And it wasn't until the age of right before I turned 19, when I moved out and started college, that was when I started my medical transition and started hormone therapy, testosterone. And so it's been over the course of a couple years, but for about the past 4 have been the major parts of my transition.
I am transgender without the operation, but my own definition. That definition being, I'm in a female body, and when I was ready to go through the operation, I had a dream. My body was not happy with that. So I honor the female body, and I feel more male than female, but I honor both genders, and I still consider myself transgender.
You know, it's funny, I don't feel any different when it comes to how I talk and walk, how I am, because I've always acted the same. Nothing has changed. I'm very much colorful in that way. However, when it comes to being treated a little different, I do see the difference because they're trying to figure me out.
There are still, gays and lesbians and bisexual people who do not get who we are. When I came out trans non-binary, I lost so many gays and lesbians as friends. So many. There were so many who just did not get my they them pronouns. There were I stopped getting bookings as a drag queen because a lot of people thought, oh, you're trans now, so you just don't do drag anymore. I was like, what are you talking about? I still do drag. Well, you're trans now, so you're not really a gay man that does drag, so that doesn't count.
I started out in lesbian groups. We were all family. We loved each other. We had been thrown out of our blood families, most of us. And we hung out together, we had fun together, we loved each other. And when they found out I also identified as male, I was no longer welcome in the group. I really got my feelings hurt a lot.
Personally, I think it comes from them not knowing what the package is down here. They're not sure of how to ask. They're not sure if they can be friendly. It's kind of like, I bite in a way, but I don't bite.
There's a loss and a gain. It affects your pocketbook. It affects your friendships. It affects your government documents. Because I had to fight 4 times to get my name change. But when you finally get it done, and then you get your social security card, and you get your driver's license, and then you have to send those papers in to get your passport, because the passport's like the coup de grace, right? Now I can travel the world with my new identity. It's like, it's like, I'm finally me. Yeah. And I fought for that.
When I think about my experience as an African-American male coming out, honestly, always the Black part is first. I'm African-American, I'm Black. As a Black gay male, there is some conflict in the sense that I think that people who are privileged who are gay, maybe are my Caucasian gay brothers, they have it a little bit different.
I always have to bring in my Blackness in conversations. Because right now I'm looking for work, part-time work and stuff like that. And they'll be like, oh, you'll find a job. And I'll tell them, racism is still a factor when it comes to looking for work. And they're like, what? And they're like, but what do you mean? And I'm like, guys, racism is still a factor when it comes to looking for work, y'all. It is not gone. It's 2022 and people are still racist. And even my non-binary and trans friends are like, they forget that they still have white privilege. And a lot of them are like, oh, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I didn't realize, even though I'm non-binary, even though I'm trans, I still have white privilege when I walk into spaces, when I walk into Ross or Nordstrom's or in the mall and stuff. They don't follow me around. And I'm like, no, they don't. The camera is on me, not on you. Not because we're trans, but because I'm Black. And that's the truth.
And I think one of the things that I find upsetting at times is just the discrimination and the shade that goes on within the gay community.
I remember in West Hollywood where they didn't even want Black people. I remember going to clubs in West Hollywood where they would turn the music off if Black people started congregating there at a certain night. The privileged gay community in general has never needed to reach out to Black people. Always sort of been an axillary or sort of a side issue, or as an entertainer or a sex object.
It drives me batty when I hear people say, I don't see color. I don't see your ethnicity. Your identity matters. It makes me who I am. It makes you who you are. So it's important that we have a world where people are allowed to unapologetically be who they are.
There are specific differences, large differences, that should be celebrated. Yeah, commonality is important, but it's unfair to not think that our differences matter as well.
So here I am, a Black gay man over the age of 50. It becomes very interesting maneuvering in the community now. But the good part is I own each part. I like the fact that I'm over 50. I see that as a privilege. It's an opportunity to share. I feel a bit of a sage. I have some things to share and I'm willing to share those things.
When you see our elders come out and you see them talk about how long they've been with their partners and you see the things that they say and the things that they've gone through, they are able to give us some knowledge and wise wisdom that we cannot fathom.
It's paying things forward. I've been really, really blessed to be able to pay things forward. And also being a mentor is a very humbling experience because people trust you to support them and guide them. And it also causes you to get out of yourself and to give back and to do your best by people.
The world, we don't know about a Miss Nina. The world does not know about a Mr. Vince. The world does not know about these elders who have had these long-lasting relationships. But me as a young man, when I come in and I see them, I say, oh, there are elders and people who was able to live through the roughest times, through the toughest times when it wasn't accepted. And yet they are still proud. Those are the people that I look at and say, that's my Martin Luther King. That's my Rosa Parks. They right here with me.
I know that we live and we continue to live in a time in which separation is supported almost. This idea of quote unquote rugged individualism comes up a lot in communities of thinking that we need to thug it out on our own. And I know that a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that that is not sustainable, nor is it desirable. No one really wants to be alone.
As gay men, and I can't speak for lesbians or trans, but as gay men, black gay men, we hate ourselves for the most part. It's rare that we're okay with ourselves. It takes a process. And our families either call us punk fags or sissies. It's not something that you would almost wish on your worst enemy. We're barely beginning to think that we're okay as black people. Now and also think that we're okay as black queer people. That's a leap.
So isn't often space where both black and LGBT identities are merged? Because oftentimes LGBT people, black queer people, don't feel like they're part of the larger society. They're black gay men who have a group, black lesbians who have a group, black trans people who have a group. We get in these little silos, even within the marginalized community.
The power of all of us in the room, trans men, of lesbians, of non-identifiers.
Being able to be around other people, my peers, it's empowering, actually.
One of the biggest takeaways, obviously, we deserve more of this.
We need more of this. We need more of these kinds of conversations. We need more roundtable discussions of LGBTQ people of color. I'd love to see more black people getting together.
Black people have to have a space. Black queer people have to have a space where they can feel welcome and at home.
Us as black folks, I think, particularly have lost a sense of communalism that adds value to our lives as the collective body. If we can get away from a Eurocentric frame of reference with regards to the way in which we make our lot in life and think more about community, the us, the we, as opposed to the me and the I think we could get a more just society.
I did not know that it was that communities like this exist or could exist. I think when people find their tribe or find their community, but it's out there. We just gotta keep looking and don't give up, I feel.
The community itself is coming together as a collective whole, part of a bigger unit, and I think that's just a beautiful thing. I'm part of a tribe now, and that feels really good.
Even mental health is just now becoming more affordable and free. But through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even through the 80s, mental health was known and seen as something that was only afforded for people with money, seen as something, even the stigma of it was seen as something that was for white folks.
It has only affirmed my understanding of community being a critical and underutilized resource for health and wellness, and particularly around mental health.
There's a power in getting to know somebody personally. It allows people to maybe who didn't have support get that support that they need.